Hello. So this is my weekly video that I've been trying to do. And one of the things I have been noticing a lot lately, I do life coaching and I work with a wide range of ages. So I have clients that are significantly older than myself, clients that are much younger, in some cases even younger than my own kids. And across the board, what ends up being somewhat of a common theme in all of the work I do, hi Vanessa, is this is the first time I've actually seen somebody who it says is watching, so I'm excited to see you. That one of the themes that is consistent is everybody's trying to figure out really who they are, what they should be doing, what they should be focused on. And that's really one of our key objectives in life, and that keeps changing and shifting and developing as we enter different stages in our life. So even, if I'm speaking to a woman who's now an empty nester, who she was and how she defined herself and how she understood her role and her priorities, and her input is going to shift and change when her kids are no longer in the house. And so we're constantly defining and redefining ourselves. And in this week's Torah portion, we really are taught an incredible lesson in the process of doing this, of figuring out who we are and what we should be doing. And in addition to that, also for those of us who are parents, a process of allowing our kids to discover that themselves. So the Torah portion is called Lech Lecha, and the translation is always like go forth. But the literal translation is actually Lech, go. Lecha is to yourself. Go to yourself. Go find yourself. And the going part, though, is an essential and key and required part of the going back into yourself. So almost like this go forth in order to come back and figure out who you are. So the text itself reads, Lech Lecha, Ma'artzracha, go from your land, Mimoladitecha, from your birthplace, Umibeis Avicha, and from your father's home. And these three stages are huge because the first one is in order to find yourself, to figure out who you are, you need to go away from your land. What's your land? It's societal pressures, societal norms, how, media is telling us how we should be, how, the world around us is telling us what's important, those kind of larger, huge influences that we have. If you're opening the magazine, how you should look, and if you're on social media, how you should be behaving or whatever that is, leave that. Get away from that. Figure out what's important to you and what's right to you and what feels real to you, whether or not it is working with what everybody else is saying you should be doing. And if anything, we know that the whole concept with Abraham is it says that, he was an Ivri, that like he was on one side and everybody else is on the other, that he didn't go with the flow. He didn't just do what the pressure was to do. But then it continues, Mimoladitecha, from your birthplace. And your birthplace is really now kind of honing in a little more. So now it's the pressure of your community, of, maybe the people that are in your school or at your work or in your more immediate kind of realm of influence and the people who you're going to bump into. And that's kind of a big thing because very often we make decisions based on what other people are going to be thinking that we're going to be bumping into in the grocery store or at the gym or, at our job or in shul that weekend or whatever it might be. And that influences the decisions we make and how we're behaving and acting. And finally, it says, Umibeis Avicha, and from your father's home. And the reality is we were all raised with whatever kind of guidelines or goals that our parents had in mind for us. And likewise, we do this with our children as well. And I think one of the hardest things for a parent is no matter what we say, we do have dreams for our kids. We do look at them and hope, ooh, maybe this one will go into that and this one will explore that. And we have these dreams and visions of who they are and what we want. And they're intertwined kind of with who we are and what we want. And being able to step back from that and realize like they've got to figure out what's right for them, what's true for them, who they are. And ideally they come back to the morals and the values and the lifestyle and the choices that we've raised them with and we've instilled with them with, and that we feel were the best choices for them and the right path for them. But it has to be their choice, just like it has to be our choice. We don't want to be doing just because that's what we were raised to do, where we've never really thought through, does this speak to me? Is this real to me? We have to figure it out for ourselves. We have to own it. To authentically live our lives, we have to choose it and make that connection. And even if it's the exact same thing we were raised and the same path and the same ways and the same customs and the same everything, we still have to choose it for ourselves. It's not enough because this is all I know. I do this because this is what's familiar to me. That's a very passive way of living. We want to be engaged and we want to know I do this because it's right, because I believe in this, because I value this, I treasure this, this speaks to me. So when we go through these 3 stages, Lech Lecha, go and find yourself and come back to yourself. Lech Lecha, go to yourself, find your truth, find your way, find your passion, find your meaning, and ignore while you're in that process for the time being what society's telling you. Lech lecha ma'artzecha, go away from that land. Lech lecha moladetecha, go from your birthplace and what your school's telling you and what your community's telling you, and leave that on the side, mibeis avicha, and from your father's home. And again, it's not a question of rejecting everything we know and everything we've been raised with and everything around us, but it's leaving that, knowing, taking that into consideration, but putting on the side while we figure out, okay, how should I move forward? Where do I excel? How do I utilize my talents and my abilities and my strengths and find that purpose and that mission where I feel most necessary and most needed and most able to truly give an impact my life and the lives of those around us. So in raising our children and in raising ourselves, we should really, really be blessed to have the strength to be able to kind of remove ourselves from those pressures, to truly, truly look within and both look outside of ourselves for understanding where we want to go so we can lech, go, and ultimately lecha, come back to ourselves in a much more authentic and powerful and true way. So that is it for Lech Lecha. And for the first time I see you guys, Tzippy, hello, Labe, wow, this is so exciting. And Zahavit, I love this. Okay, this never worked for me before. You guys never showed up on my live feed. So we'll be doing this. Actually, next week, I'm going to be speaking in California. So I'll be filming in California, hopefully. And have a beautiful Shabbos. Good Shabbos.